This little series that we're trying to do here is going to be a little off the wall, just talking about this and that thing that we're thinking about through the week, and then...
A little bit crazy. A little bit crazy.
I was talking to somebody this week about how Bernie... I know, getting pretty extreme here already for some of you. He said that, you know, we should reinvest in our own people by using our tax dollars to send young people to college so that they can get better jobs, which should get them jobs that make more money for the most part, and then they'll spend that money and boost the economy a little bit by being able to afford better products and not have to buy cheap things or not buy anything at all, right? But then conservatives always come up with any excuse as to why that is all terrible and just will not work and makes us communists. I don't understand how that's even remotely close to communism. Just that one thing. Not even like mentioning the healthcare BS or anything, just the college.
It's not communism at all, dude.
How is that bad? How can you spin that as bad? I just...
So the best... Since I live in Texas, and I live in a very unsavory part where people have some very unsavory opinions.
Yeah.
And I bet you the biggest thing that people will say is that the U.S. is like in trillions of dollars of debt already. Mm-hmm. Which I know we are in debt. I don't know if it's trillions, but like...
It is.
I'm pretty sure that, you know, we're always going to be in debt in some way or capacity. I think a lot of countries are.
We don't even have to be in as much debt as we are, is the thing that's, like, fucked up about that. That's a different discussion, though.
If we weren't shoveling millions of fucking dollars into other, like, things that we're not even fucking involved in, that might help. That's what we should be concerned about, and not, you know, bettering people's lives. That might better the economy, but that's another discussion.
But that was your point, is just... that they will say, oh, we already waste so much money.
That's the only stupid argument. That's the only argument that, like, I might say, oh yeah, that might make a little sense, but then, you know, I use my non-ape brain and say, well, we're probably going to be in debt forever. So, you know.
Yeah, a thing that I don't get to is... It's a long-term investment. You're investing now to see fruit later. But people want things to be like right now. That's why Trump made all these promises that he can't keep, because that's just what people want to hear. It's the same thing at my job, actually. I work in an apartment building, and I realize that a job in a position like mine is similar to speaking as a politician to people when you're at a small rally or something. These people at my job, they're elderly, granted, but they don't want me to be honest. When I'm honest with them, my manager and/or sister, my manager and sister tells me that some people come back and say that I had an attitude with them, when all that I usually do is just say, this thing takes potentially this long for us to get, and we will likely have to get a couple quotes. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. So it's going to take longer than even I want it to take, but we can't do anything about it. And eventually, when I say things like that to people, one of them will go and say that I'm giving them an attitude, or that I'm saying things that are like, I shouldn't be saying, I guess. So you're just supposed to lie to people. Just tell them what they want to hear when you're in a position where you have to, like, be a service person. That's why service people lie, and why people here and there will say, like, oh, watch this type of service person. They'll, like, lie about this and that to get more money out of you. But, like, they probably just get into a habit of lying and then be like, why not just lie about this and that too? Because people don't want to be told the truth a lot of the time. They just want you to lie so that they can be more comfortable at that moment, and then they'll boil over eventually and, like, flip out and ask why something hasn't been done or why it can't be done. sooner.
Well, in the end,
I
would argue that most people cannot be satisfied. So,
I mean, really, they would rather me not say it could take a few weeks or even longer. I'm sorry. They want me to keep on saying it'll be done soon over and over and over again for 2 months instead. And they'll be happier than if I was just honest with them. It's so weird to me as a man with a pinch of autism. I'm just like, okay, I'd rather people just like tell me so that if I have to plan around something or I need to anticipate something, I'd rather just understand the anticipation or be able to just do the planning very accordingly from the get-go and not have to keep checking in with this issue, whatever it may be.
Put a picture of a gecko up when you say that. When you say get-go, put a picture of a gecko up. That'd be pretty funny.
When we were talking yesterday, we had brought up this may potentially be able to be kind of integrated with your next talking point, or your first talking point for this video, is how media companies are trying to make people feel bad for villains so often nowadays, and I think it's a conspiracy on my part. It's a conspiracy on my part.
We were talking about that.
But I think personally that since media outlets and media companies are so in cahoots that they're doing it so that evil politicians and leaders can get away with doing more heinous shit. But then, oh, but remember this moment he had? He's just like us. It doesn't matter that he's a billionaire. He's just a guy.
Well,
I think that shit's working. If that's true, I think that shit's working.
I'll just bring it to a surface level perspective too, not even like a conspiracy thing, dude. If like you're looking at a villain's backstory and you see like, wow, this person was treated like shit their whole life and they turned out, doing the exact same thing, they're a loser, dude. Like, why would I want to feel sorry for that? Like, I'm sorry, but like people who were treated like shit when they're like younger or whatever, I'm sorry, that's horrible, but like that does not give you an excuse to be shit.
Yeah, I always say when you're a teenager, like most dumb things you do if you're not like
unaliving.
You're what can you say on YouTube to like walk around this? It's pretty forgivable most things you do as a teenager. I mean, but when you get to adulthood, being like, getting closer to your mid-20s, that's when you should expect the best behavior out of people, or start to, anyways.
Genuine consequences.
Yeah. That's when people deserve to be criticized the most, is when they start to become, or get close to becoming a full-fledged adult.
And I think there's exceptions to a certain extent. Like, if someone knows that they're immature, like, even in their mid-20s, that they're immature, but they're working on themselves, I'm more than likely going to give them passes. But if they're sorry, of course.
Yeah.
It all just depends on if someone wants to improve and if they're trying to improve,
Yeah, even when I was in my mid-20s, my mom, like, low-key babied me so long, even into my 20s. Like, up to my mid-20s. Still did, like, everything for me. I didn't know how to do my laundry till I was, like, 24. So...
Are you serious?
Yeah, in my opinion, up until I was, like, 27 or 8, I was kind of a dumb bitch. I've only, like, matured rapidly in the last year or two. So, I'm glad about that.
I was doing laundry for the whole house when I was 6, dude. That is that is 25. I'm sorry, that's not funny. But,
it's pretty bad. You can laugh.
It is bad, I'm sorry.
And if you guys think I'm exaggerating, I can bring witnesses on to attest.
I am a witness to a certain extent.
When I didn't live with my mom anymore, who the fuck was doing my laundry?
You trained the rats in your house to do it.
Did my friends and my sisters always do my laundry?
No way, dude. No way.
I wasn't doing it.
My friends don't like me that much.
I wasn't doing it. That's all I know.
My siblings and friends do not love me that much at all. I'd feel bad if they did though too.
Okay, well that nachos fun fact aside, what was like actually your talking point here?
That goes into my talking point, sort of. Well, first off, I just want to have this throwaway thing in here. People saying they didn't ask to be born, they didn't, you know, they didn't ask to be born, they didn't ask to be this way. I mean, nobody does. Like, what's your point? Like, that is such like a middle school shit. That's such middle school shit to say that I've heard like adults say.
I think
But that goes into
earlier we were talking about something that had to do with that.
We did.
So that was contextualized earlier, but I don't remember what it was now.
It was sort of coming off of like the villain thing, but this has nothing to do with villains because it's an animal villain, so I think they're all forgivable. But I am today going to talk about how Hollywood companies are really sleeping on the fact that, wow, they have so much fucking money. Money that I'll never have, ever. I'm fine with never having that much money because that is too much money that one person should have in the first place. But these people are the people to be experimenting. Like new ideas, like going crazy with things, you know? So I'm just gonna get right into it. I just hit my elbow. I saw Jurassic World Rebirth. It was shit. Not because of the way it looks. Of course it looks great. But the characters, they slept on their best villain ever. I give you the Distortus Rex. The Distortus Rex is their first. The Distortus Rex was their first in 1988. That was their first, like, attempt of making a T-Rex. It has a tumor on its forehead. Every time it takes a step, it recoils in pain. That is a great fucking antagonist. And they advertised it like crazy. 5 minutes. And you know what they focused on? They focused on this little tiny dinosaur named Dolores. With this one throwaway character. Like the average people are movies are too I'm sorry. I'm rambling. These movie people are too focused on like the end goal. You know? But end goal by like advertising and shit.
Oh yeah, when we had a short talk about this earlier, I had like a short list that I started like coming up with in my head was it's money first, then that's the first like literal thought is money. How to make the most money. How can we reach the most broad audience possible? So how can we rewrite all of this to not just be for Americans or a certain like subsect of people, but the entire globe usually for the bigger studios. So not even tell the story as the first person probably imagined it. Like change that, and then I forgot what the third one was.
No, but the dude, people defend these things though. I hear people bitch about them, but then they defend them. I bitched about this thing to someone, and then they said, "Oh yeah, well, in the end scene, this little dinosaur warned the girl that like it's friends with that the big dinosaur was coming." You need a warning, dude. Like the ground shakes when it steps. Do you really need a warning for that?
I wouldn't think so.
But no, not really. You wouldn't, because it's making it's screaming in pain every time it walks. But the movie was supposed to be rated R, but then they changed it.
Well, yeah, it's because they want to cast the widest net that they can.
It was supposed to be about they were gonna use an old concept about human dinosaur hybrids, and it was gonna be a genuine horror movie. And I'm sorry.
That'd have been pretty good body horror.
I guess, a dinosaur horror movie is too stupid. These are the dinosaur human hybrids. Just the concept art. Maybe not the one on the far left, but just the concept art looks really fucking interesting in my opinion.
Yeah, and the one on the left, his face looks a little bit too much like is the Thing is the name of the guy in
The Hulk?
No, the Fantastic Four, right?
Oh, The Thing.
Not to be mistaken with the 80s horror flick.
That is my favorite horror movie. Everybody should see it.
I need to see it. Oh, and
this body horror is your movie.
When you started talking about the dinosaurs, you sent that one first. Can you explain what this one is? I haven't seen the movie yet.
Okay, so that one is Belugas. Now Belugas, it's the scariest one of all. You see, Belugas is on a list of some sort. I can't say because I don't want this video to get flagged. But he is on a list, and I don't even want to know. You don't want to know what happens. Like, it should have been rated R with how like violent this character is.
And this movie is PG-13.
Very. It should have been rated R, but it was PG-13.
That's pretty weird. They're really just trying to like normalize things like that, aren't they?
They are. Speaking of normalize, let's not normalize double standards. Now,
double standards are like, well, there are, or wait, people saying that there's double standards means that like it's different between men and women, right?
No, I'm talking about, I was segueing into my next point, but that is a good point as well. But, I'm just gonna use this one because it's the newest non-Disney one, the new How to Train Your Dragon. Yeah. I've heard everybody say, "Tell Disney this is how you should remake a movie." They did the exact same that Disney does. Like, I don't see the difference. It's okay to hate Disney, in my opinion, but you got to be fair. But here's another thing with experimenting that my second point about experimenting. Here's Toothless in the new live-action movie. Now, he's cute, he's recognizable, but if you look at the other dragon designs, he just does not fit. Like, every time that it cut to him, it took me out of the movie.
Oh, wait. Did they remake or redesign the other dragons?
They redesigned the other dragons to make them look realistic, and dude, they look fucking awesome.
Why would they do that, though, if they're gonna keep Toothless the same? Like, that...
He's gotta be cute, but, like, here's just an idea that I had. So, he's gotta have that iconic head shape to have an axolotl, or to look like an axolotl.
Yeah.
And, you know, most of these dragons that they had in these that they redesigned them, they look like dinosaurs. So, my immediate thought was Ankylosaurus. Now, I'm gonna send you some pictures of Ankylosaurus. But he should look scary. I think it's okay to make him look scary.
It sucks that we could never see dinosaurs, dude. Every time I think about it, I'm just like, oh, that's probably so fucking cool.
Like, here's the thing. The director said, like, every time we try to move towards realistic, we would lose that emotion. Dude, look at how cute. Even though they kind of look scary, that would be really cute. If he had a head shape like that. Even though his eyes would be smaller.
Yeah, they could emote that. They could emote it because it's in 3D, so why not? You can bend it and squash it a little bit.
Believe it or not, most animals don't have as many facial expressions as Toothless does. Most of them act on, like... Most of them usually just, like, rub up on people if they like them and stuff.
Yeah, like cats.
So, you don't really need facial expressions, in my opinion. But what the fuck do I know?
But
I only have 2 degrees with animals.
But you should, because it's a 3D movie and it's fictional, so... Why shouldn't they have expressions? Just like the Disney remakes, it's just so gay. Like, what? I swear to God... It's gonna sound so fucking mean, but I just can't imagine people going to see those movies with genuine enthusiasm that aren't stupid. Like, I'm sorry. But it's just so, like, what's the point? It's so nothing. It's so ass.
Oh, dude.
I've seen clips from that Lion King movie that are supposed to be dramatic. They just look like lions. What the fuck is the point? Why go? What? It's so confusing. I have no words. That's why I'm stuttering. I genuinely have no words. I don't understand at all.
I don't understand The Lion King either. Again, I just don't like Disney anymore, so that might be my thing. But the thing,
I was
just
being...
to come back to all this. They just blatantly said we were too scared to experiment when coming to Toothless. Fuck you. You had millions of dollars. I'm sorry, but if this movie flopped, it would have still been a success.
Well, I'll get back to how I was being even meaner when we were talking about this yesterday, but the reason for that is because these mega studios are so cutthroat now that they would do anything legally that they could to put the other company down under so they can have full control of this space. You think that Disney wants to be the only one on top, and they want to get rid of movie theaters so they can be completely in control of major releases. They don't want anybody else releasing big movies like they do.
No.
So if one
not.
company slips up, they're like leaving themselves open to a jab from Disney.
Fuck Disney, though, honestly. Even their original movies aren't doing good. I think people are finally starting to not like them.
Disney's been so over for me for so long. That's another thing I don't understand is if a company's not putting their all into something and actually trying, why do people bother anymore? That's like Call of Duty. Modern Warfare 2, they still did the shit where the Navy is in the credits of the game because, and I think NASA too, because they wanted the game to be as immersive as possible. Every single gun noise was completely tailored to the weapon that you're using. So they had a distinct noise. Every person that used to play Modern Warfare 2 online remembers, if I mention the Scar H, you're thinking of the sound right now, the M4A1, the AK-47, the F2000. You remember what every single one of those guns sound like because they're very distinct. And then Black Ops came out. Everything sounded exactly the same. They gave up. They stopped trying. After Black Ops, I stopped buying Call of Duty games. They're not trying anymore, so they don't deserve my money. But people are so quick to settle for mediocrity over IP. It's insane to me. The loyalty. What do you have to be loyal to?
Mediocrity is a great title for this episode, by the way.
That would be a good title. Oh, and what I was being meaner about when we were having our private discussion about it.
I'm gonna send you some of the other dragon designs so you can have a reference, though.
Okay.
Real quick. But keep talking.
Keep talking, buddy. That's somebody. Right that's a viewer right now getting pissed. But for like a decade now, since the movie, frankly, since the movie Avatar came out, we've had the wow, so graphics effect with movies. And Disney's still doing it to this day. How are people still impressed? How are you people that stupid? Like, not sorry, but we've had it for so long. It should not be impressive to you anymore. You shouldn't be like going to the movie like, oh wow, that's a computer? That's crazy. Well, I've never seen that before. Yeah, you have. You have seen that before many times over. Like, are you not over it yet? The movies suck. In a decade, we're going to look back and be like, wow, that movie, like, they didn't really do anything, did they? Because they didn't. They did not do anything. We have, and especially since we have insane AI video generation now, when that gets better, people are really going to, like, do the Mr. Krabs rubbing their eyes on their shirt thing, like, huh, wait, they didn't really do much with those movies, did they? Like,
imagine someone actually tearing their eyes out and doing that.
If they tried with those movies, I would have gone to see those movies and would have been like, yeah, this isn't too bad. If they tried really hard to convey all the emotions in these animals, instead of just going for the, wow, it looks so realistic and it's a computer, isn't that crazy? Angle to it, which, like, that's another thing. I can honestly say, I can talk shit, but I don't understand. I really don't. It's just like, wow, computer. And that's enough to draw in hundreds of millions of dollars. Or rake in hundreds of $1 million, I should say. It's baffling to me how easily impressed and amused people are. It's crazy.
I think I'm just more easily impressed on this specific thing because I grew up with these really cartoony designs, and most of them look really good translated. In my opinion, most of them look really good translated into more real animals. Again, but I can admit that's nostalgia. I can just admit that's nostalgia. I still didn't. I can still admit that this is lazy, but it is nostalgia. The reason, or just my childlike amazement that wow, they translated these really cartoony designs that have underbites and big bug eyes into like real animals.
You can always do it well if you're a good designer and you try over and over again until you get it right. Especially if you have a team, you can really do it well always. But you have to try. You have to care. Oh wow! Hey, look at that. That guy's face looks not real.
No, the people look worse in these pictures.
That looks edited in, like, what the fuck? The dinosaur looks good, though. I had 2 more things I wanted to cover. One is just, like, another thought kind of thing. Do you think that young people these days, or children these days, with how chronically online a lot of them are, as we can see in our chat sometimes.
Oh, Christ.
Do you think that they are going to develop what we would consider psychosis with what we grew up with and, you know, being developed, which is that they are going to have trouble discerning what should be considered human in real life because of AI generated videos?
Maybe not this generation, but definitely the next one. I think this generation there might still be hope.
I think that their fucking neurons are gonna get like fused together from this shit. They're not going to understand. Like, maybe if this is assuming that they understand these videos are AI, but they do look so realistic that it's going to bleed over into real life, and it's going to make them not know how to respond back to people appropriately because they'll respond to something that they understand to be an AI or not a real person that looks extremely realistic and gives them realistic responses back however they want. And then that behavior will bleed over into real life because they're interacting with these extremely realistic fake people that can literally interact with them on live stream so often that it's going to like fuse their fucking neurons together. I know it's probably not what would actually happen, but something's gonna happen to their pathways, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely though. But like, maybe what if this happens? So, let's say like people my age that are 21 that don't have a kid, because a lot of people my age have kids now for some reason, which I never understood. Why the fuck would you want to have a kid now? Yeah. I want to, live life a little.
Idiocracy is becoming real, by the way. Only almost exclusively irresponsible people that I know personally are having kids, and almost no one that's responsible is. But yeah, go ahead.
So, what if people my age are like realizing, hey, these kids need to be like in nature, like, not, they need to be playing outside, they need to not be playing on a tablet. Yeah. What if we do that and the kids resent that because like we'll have like, time technology and shit, and then when they get older they just dive into technology and then they
have what technology?
Like any technology.
I thought you said time technology. I was like, what?
No, I meant like any technology, but I said time limits. We would obviously have time limits on like technology, but then like what if those kids grow up being like fuck you, then they just are on the internet all the time, so then their kids are on the internet all the time, and that's the generation that you're talking about, maybe.
I don't think they would. I mean, that's just me personally, though. I'm glad that I went outside a lot when I was a kid and interacted with the environment and nature and all that. It's important to your problem-solving skills. I could link a video if I find one. I'm just creating more work for myself, but in the description, I'll link a video explaining why children interacting with their environment and nature and stuff makes their problem-solving skills and thinking skills stronger. Because I've totally forgot why, but that's definitely a thing. It makes you a little more competent as a person to interact with things around you at that age.
Yeah, definitely.
And the other thing, if we're going to hard transition, is that I really think Trump is just so out of his mind. We're probably gonna have to censor his name. I'll just put a silhouette of his wig. You'll get it. So
Double, bumble, boil, and trumple.
That guy, he is making Japan pay for defense from us, like as if the whole 2 bombs thing just didn't happen less than 100 years ago. We're just gonna forget about that, right? How that's one of the worst events in human history, like probably in the top 10 worst as far as the counter. And we're just like, no, you need to pay for our defense if you want it. Do you have any integrity at all? I mean, clearly he doesn't. I know he doesn't. He's been shown that, especially with this bill. But that's just got me major fucked up. For my hard-earned tax dollars to not be making up for what happened from our country to theirs such a short amount of time ago.
Dude, Trump, I know this is probably a small person issue, but I think a lot of presidents would at least talk on it. You hear about Camp Mystic?
Would at least what?
Did you hear about Camp Mystic? They would at least talk about it, you know?
Oh, instead of just making moves and not getting away.
No, he didn't do anything though. He is golfing and eating ice cream.
Trump?
Today. Yeah, he was golfing and eating ice cream. 80 are missing, mostly children.
Missing from where?
Camp Mystic is a place in Texas that flooded.
Well, he's already got the position of power now, so he doesn't need to pretend that he cares about people by visiting these places anymore.
I don't know why people even.
I'm not picking my nose.
That he's a little good friend.
I mean, it really goes to show, like I said, sorry, but full offense, the people are just stupid. It's so easy for people to be manipulated just through what they want to hear nowadays. That's all it takes. Just say what they want to hear. People are being taught to just not think about anything nowadays.
Well, to be fair, it was between Kamala and Trump, so
Oh, I really don't think we had a choice. Let's be real.
Well, RFK,
RFK and Bernie Sanders. Actually, that's my bedtime alarm. That should not be at 8, but RFK and Bernie Sanders actually care, but people are taught to not think, and their little tribe, if they hear anything that their tribe deems evil or bad in some way, they don't think, they just shut their brains off, and they scream socialist, communist. When almost everything Bernie says is completely agreeable, and not communism, and he doesn't even think that people can't be rich. Are we just ignoring that? I think it's completely fair to say that no one person should be a billionaire. Is that fucked up to say? Is that extreme? If that's extreme, then I'm an extremist. Like, color me red.
I don't think nobody should be a billionaire, but I think it shouldn't be as big as it is. And I think that it should be at least attainable to some extent.
What do you mean?
For a common man.
You don't think that what should be as big as it is?
Being a billionaire. Because as much as people want to say it's like, you know, not a lot of people are billionaires. I mean, a lot are, you know?
There's not a lot of billionaires.
Well, maybe not billionaires, but people who have a lot of fucking money.
People should definitely be allowed to be millionaires. You can earn, like, I mean, genuinely, I feel like in a moral and like social way, both together, like I think you can earn that right to have millions of dollars, like working hard enough, you know, and like actually caring about the people under you and all that. But I think you only, like you personally, I think that you only say that you think people should be able to be billionaires because it's really hard to understand how much $1 billion is for people that will never see it or even come close or have never known anyone.
I know that I'll
like,
never be
when
close.
you have it visually represented,
having $1 million, I know, which I'm
these
fine with.
people that are billionaires, they have multi-story, basically they have houses that are like 5 houses put together and own many of them in most cases. They own tons of farmland. Like when you have these things visualized, it seems really sinister and evil how much shit that they own and are allowed to own. It's fucked up. And all these yachts and planes and everything and land together is just so like crooked and evil. That's what I mean when I say people shouldn't be allowed to be billionaires, because it corrupts people. It should be all of our responsibility to keep each other in check so that nobody gets too much power, because it will corrupt anyone, and we're not doing that.
I see your point.
And with all this money being what's it called? Or I forgot the right word, but concentrated into just these few people at the top, sooner or later, we're going to be no better or much different than Russia. Let's be honest. All these people that are in charge just because they have money, not because they were voted in. I mean, that's pretty much already happening with lobbyists, which we really should start calling bribery or bribers. Like, why do we still call them lobbyists? That's just a soft word for briber. Can we stop saying that, please? Like, for fuck's sake. Shit's so annoying. Every time I hear the word lobbying or lobbyists doing this or that, I'm like, dude, just call it what it is. Stop giving them what they want and making it sound nicer.
I got lost.
And then, I think... I just thought of something else. I'll put it in after if I think about it before this episode goes up. But something else I thought about AI as well is that AI is going to make legitimate information void in the next few years, because people, you know how people, there's a lot out there right now that think AI is correct about everything?
I hope those people aren't a big majority.
It's too many, and
I think even 4 is too many.
Well, with the fact that people can generate, or soon will be able to generate AI videos of people talking to a camera like I am right now that are indistinguishable from a real person, you know, people will be able to just believe whatever they want about the world, because people will just be able to generate anything that they want about the world. Fake news broadcasts, fake leaders saying this or that, fake the priest saying something that's not true or that he didn't say, but people can just choose to believe it because they want that to be their view of the world. Like, a lot of people want to be ignorant so that they can just be comfortable in their own head, stay in their own little bubble, their softy bubble, right? So I think that AI is going to make legitimate information completely void for a lot of people in the next few years because people just believe what they want to believe. Even if it's proven that something isn't real through metadata, which... How's nobody talking about that? But yeah, even if it's proven through metadata, I think people just still choose to believe what they want to believe that they saw an AI say, even if it's confirmed that the video isn't real and the metadata shows that it was generated, they'll still just choose to believe it anyways and divide people even more because it'll be so much easier for people to convince themselves that something that isn't true is much worse than they already do.
Yeah, dude, the AI. I think the AI. I don't know if you heard. You probably did hear about this, but it told someone that they should
unalive
when they looked up their symptoms online. The AI overview did.
Because that's a logical thing to do. It's a computer. It's just trying to draw the most logical conclusion with the information it has.
I know.
So of course it would tell you to do that. I mean, sorry to laugh, but I mean, this is what we're dealing with.
Yeah, an unfeeling computer that if it rose to some sort of power, it would not care about human emotion is exclusive to humans.
And I still very much stand by the way I said that AI is going to unalive us in Minecraft versus what people think that... People think it's going to be an AI uprising and that they're going to turn themselves... Or we're already making the robots. I think they're going to put themselves in the robots and then take over humanity, or humans are going to put them in the robots. But that's not going to happen. People are going to, like I was just talking about, AI generate videos of a world leader saying something that looks completely indistinguishable, or like a general or something, like whatever. We're just idealistic on this channel. We don't know names of many people, but that's gonna happen.
Empty people's bank accounts.
Huh?
Empty people's bank accounts.
I know what you're talking about.
AI.
Oh, I mean, it probably could one day. But anyways, somebody's going to generate a video of somebody saying something really out of pocket, and some other world leader isn't going to be able to tell that it's fake. We'll happen to have trouble getting a hold of that person for a couple days for some reason. And then there's going to be an unprompted, unwarranted bombing of another country, and that's probably what's going to spiral us into what people consider AI killing us. That's much more likely to be how AI kills us rather than a robot uprising, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think it's definitely not gonna be actually robots. It's gonna be on a computer or something.
And if it isn't a robot uprising, it's not that the AI is going to think,
we want to be in power.
It's going to be logical processing again. It's like, how can we fix the Earth? Well, humans are destroying it, so we need to destroy the humans. And then the AI, there's a chance even after that, if it destroyed the whole human race, would be like, we take up energy too, we're bad for nature, so now that the humans are gone, we need to destroy ourselves.
Yeah, so
and just let nature thrive. Because that's a goal that it was given. You know what I mean? It's that's the most likely
just like an episode from Love, Death, and Robots.
Yeah, but if realistic outcomes, those are the most realistic ones. So, yeah.
But to be fair, the actual robot uprising is about as realistic as a zombie apocalypse right now, because those Boston Dynamics robots are really freaking stupid.
Yeah, there is definitely a cap on how, like, micro we can really build things. There are really small things, though. But how feasible and conventional it is to do all these micro things. I mean, these robots are never going to be cheap to make, more than likely. I think we're really, really far off from making robots that can move exactly how humans do at a price that's very affordable. Otherwise, we would be doing it already.
I mean, do you know if the Tesla robots are as, like, is anybody doing anything with, or are they just sleeping on that?
I think it's that society just doesn't give a fuck at all. Like, to be honest with you, I don't hear anybody talking about it. And the only thing I hear about AI is that it annoys everybody because they don't stop hearing about it and they just don't care. Companies are just... guys, don't use AI products unless they're for productivity. Companies are so... I mean, I was about to say bloodthirsty. Maybe that's even the right word, though. They're so thirsty. Insanely thirsty. For people to adopt AI so that they can fire and lay off as many people as they can from their companies. They want to replace people with AI. That's why they want it so badly, and they want to consolidate power by pushing any competition away that they can by replacing competition with AI services of their own. Don't use it, please. This isn't going to reach that many people in that amount of time, but if it did just so happen to... Then I said it.
I will admit, I do have a ChatGPT account, but it was to try to make it self-aware. So I think it was a noble cause.
I don't think that's gonna happen, but
no, it didn't happen.
Also,
I spent 3 hours.
Before we close this out, because we're almost at an hour, and I have to edit this in less than 2 days. Bernie, you're wrong. We don't need affordable housing. We need to make housing affordable. Affordable housing is giving up. Absolutely not. No.
Affordable housing is poop.
What? Oh.
Affordable housing, like, usually the buildings are absolutely poop.
Oh, yeah, they are. Well, exactly. Like, we don't want an America where everybody feels like they have to live in an apartment. That's not what we should... That's not the goal. The goal, the Americans' goal, should be... I want a leader that's going to get us to housing that's affordable, like a house. Not just housing, aka apartment buildings. Nobody actually wants to live in an apartment if they can choose between a house and an apartment. So make houses affordable. That should be his MO there.
Make houses great again.
Like our boomer grandparents had.
Then they could pay $4 and a sack of corn to buy a nice house.
Right. It's so crazy when you go to your grandparents' house, like the ones that were like made it out, you know? And they just have like the tall living room, or like they have like cabin walls and stuff, or like the step down living room from the kitchen, all these like cool crazy house designs that were like, oh, guys, man, you guys are rich. And it's like, no, they weren't rich, actually. They just had a regular-ass job back in the day.
They worked at McDonald's, bro. I don't know what you're talking about.
Looks like Pep needs to go out. So, just in time, I'm going to take off my headphones now because my ass hurts. So, say your hello, goodbyes, Stefan, to the audience for this video.
Stefan, say hello to the audience right as we leave.
Yeah, hi. Bye.